All right. What's up? Um, well, first off, I'm gonna try a little bit heavier editing today because just overall, after watching some more Reddit videos, I think it would probably be something that's better in the long run. And on top of that, today I haven't read any of the stories beforehand, so I'm a little worried that I'm gonna have to like cut out huge parts of the video, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna like hop right into it on the first one. All right. Well, just to put this out there real quick, I'm a little sick, so I'm sorry if my voice is a little weird or a little odd. All right. Well, the first one is, am I the asshole for defending my wife's decision to leave me after I cheated on her? A few months ago, I developed a skin condition for which I was prescribed a medication. I became delusional and paranoid that my wife was cheating on me. I didn't tell her or anyone about my thoughts. I kept them to myself. I then decided to cheat back, and I had an affair. My wife found out. She left me for her parents. I stopped taking the medication, and my delusions started to fade away. I came back to reality. I opened up to my mother about what I went through, and she told my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law talked to me about it, and then started forcing my wife to forgive me, telling her that I was not in my right mind. She drove my wife back to our house. My wife broke down crying. I defended my wife against my mother-in-law and told her that she's not wrong to leave me, so my mother-in-law shouldn't force her to. She eventually relented and took my wife back, and we separated, moving towards divorce. My mother-in-law is not happy with my wife, and it seems that my wife is having huge second thoughts as well. My wife called me and asked me why I defended her when her mother was telling her to come back to me, and I honestly didn't know what to say. It was obviously the right thing to do. I do not know what response she was expecting. She then started saying that mother-in-law was right and she should have listened to her, and I didn't let her listen. My opinion on this one is a little weird. I mean, I don't think that OP is the asshole for defending his wife's decision to leave her, or to leave him, sorry, because I do like actually think that in this real situation that they should separate. What I'm thinking is weird is why the mother-in-law was forcing her daughter to get back together with this guy. You get what I mean? And then the wife changing her mind because here in the end it said she then started saying that mother-in-law was right and that she should have listened to her and I didn't let her listen. I mean, there's probably a couple of existential factors that were missing in the story, which one that I can probably pick up from this, which I mean, obviously, it might be because, um, OP's wife and family and extended family and stuff, they don't want to lose OP, so it's either because they have so many memories of them, or he's just like such a great guy outside of this one thing that he did when he wasn't in his right state of mind, and they don't want him to leave. Because I don't really see any other reason why someone would defend someone cheating like that. I don't think OP is the asshole, and that's like my view on it. I don't really know who I would call the asshole because, as I said, there are some like existential factors. Like, if OP is like a really nice guy outside of the relationship, then I'd say, all right, give him a second chance. But that's only if, because as I said, I don't really see any other reason why someone would defend someone else staying with someone who cheated on them this much. Let's read this one comment here. It's the third comment down because the first one just isn't really too much. The second one is by a deleted account, and the third one is this. It says, "Oh wow, what a fucking awful situation. Delirium is not a good time. Honestly, not the asshole. You owned your behavior, stood up for what's right, in this case your wife, and your mother-in-law has zero right to be interfering here," which I personally do second that. Maybe you should meet with your wife in a neutral place and have a genuine talk about what happened, where you both are now, mentally, and steps forward, whether that's apart or together. Which, I think that's true. I mean, I really do think that's true. I would want to, like, sit down and have a conversation on what the hell makes her want to stay. Like, I wouldn't cheat apart from, like, but I'm putting myself in this situation. If I was in this situation, I would want to know, like, what the hell was going through her mind to, like, make her want to stay with me. You get what I mean? I just don't think it's logical that if someone cheated on you, that you just go and stay with them after convincing from anyone. And I don't get why anyone would defend that. But with that being said, let's move right on over to the next one. Second story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Calling My Ex-Roommate When Cops Came Looking for Her? So I, 28F, had a roommate from September to October, just someone needing a stepping stone until they got a place of their own. Found out we were both on probation, but nothing really came of it. We both met with our POs, kept court appointments, and it was all fine and dandy. She moved out after getting a place, and today a cop came to the door. I went through all safety measures of asking him to identify himself and show a badge and all the safety measures that people tell you to go through when you're a female living home alone. I stepped outside and asked him basically what's up. He asked if my ex-roommate was home. I explained she moved out and asked if the address he had was her new address, and I confirmed that it was the new address. He then asked if 555-555-5555 was her number, just, an example number, and I said yeah. He asked me to call her, and I said sure, not thinking much of it. I called her, and as soon as she heard a voice, as he did, the gimme motion for my phone, I did not hand him my phone, just put it on speaker. She hung up, then texted me saying, how dare I betrayed her and not just lie to the cops that I had no clue where she was, and I should have said that she was out of state, or lied and said that she was there but in the shower, or literally anything to avoid her talking to them. I told her I wasn't going to lie to the cops, and saying she was in the shower would have just made him either, 1, sit outside until she came out, or 2, since she's on probation, same as me, he could potentially come in for a wellness check on her if she's not out of the shower after a period of time. And telling them she's out of state when you need parole officer's permission to leave the state is also a horrible idea, because then a warrant for her arrest would be put out, and if they find her and arrest her, I could get in trouble for lying to them. And then she snapped back with, did they threaten to throw you in jail if you didn't call me? You're a lying asshole. I don't want to talk to you anymore, and anything I have there, I'll figure out how to get it back out of there, because I can't trust you anymore. All she left here was a diamond art painting and a library book. My friend says I did the right thing, because even her not on probation would have done the same thing and called her saying the cops were looking for her. My friend's wife says I could have just not answered the door or just declined to say I knew her or her phone number, but I mean, he could see me from the living room window cooking in the kitchen because it's a ground floor open plan apartment. The living room is a direct line of sight into the kitchen from the window, so I could see my fridge and stove from outside when I walked to my door, same as the cop could see. I feel like I did the right thing, but I'm not too sure. I just figured I'd get outside opinions because now her friends are texting me saying I really piss her off, and friends don't rat friends out to the cops. There also is an edit here, which I'm just going to follow up with this real quick. And they say, they did go to her apartment yesterday looking for her, and she didn't answer the door. She told me she wasn't going to answer the door for the cops because she didn't want them to kill her. When I told her about tonight, that it was just a legit pack of papers in his hand, she said, well, they won't meet me in public, and I ain't letting them talk to my place. I'll leave the state if I gotta. I told her that it was a horrible idea because then she'd get a warrant, and I'd probably get in trouble even more because I knew her intent to flee the state, but she read my message, said blocked, and now I can't message or call her again. So I don't know what to do if they come back looking for her. This whole situation is fucked up. I mean, like, again, I'm not saying, like, lie to the police officer. I'm saying that OP, well, I'll say this first. OP is not an asshole for telling the truth to an officer, especially if you're on probation. And again, even if you're not on like probation, you should not lie to a police officer because that very much can and might come back and bite you in the ass. So it's crazy to think that because she did something bad that put her on probation, she doesn't want to like face the consequences of it, especially if there's a cop looking for her. That means she definitely did some bad shit again, and she's acting super fucking immature. Like, why are you saying, like, well, they won't meet me in public and I ain't letting them talk to me at my place, I'll leave the state if I gotta, when literally OP says that if you leave the state without your parole officer's permission, you can get, like, absolutely screwed. And she's just being super immature, even following up and saying blocked. I mean, I'm sorry if any of you had, but that's just, like, a really childish thing to do. That's, like, a really childish and pick-me thing to do, to say blocked. I don't know. I don't know. I'll just read the top comment over here on this one. It says, not the asshole, and it's not even close. You don't lie to cops when you're on probation. She was asking you to risk your own freedom because she couldn't face the consequences of her own actions. You did the only smart thing. Which, again, 100% true. You don't lie to a police officer, especially if you're on probation. But with that being said, we're just going to move real quick on to the next post, which is also from Am I the Asshole? This one reads, Am I the asshole for refusing to have my ex-husband and his other children over to celebrate Christmas with me and our kids? My ex-husband and I have been divorced for just over 5 years now. Our divorce was extremely difficult for me and our kids, currently aged 11 and 9, because we did not part on good terms. At the time of me asking for a divorce, I had just learned that he had been cheating on me for several years and was being DNA tested for 6 potential children he may have fathered during our marriage. Holy shit! My ex-husband ran through every excuse for what he did and attempted to convince me numerous times to stay, but I wasn't having it. I called time on our marriage as soon as I knew what he was up to. 5 of the 6 potential kids turned out to be his, and he attempted to involve me in discussions with their mothers. I told him that none of that was anything to do with me. I've never talked to those women, and I never have ever talked to those kids either. But that's not it for all of his children. It turned out he already knew about 2 other kids being biologically who were born during our marriage. That's insane. They ended up living with him a year after our divorce, and their mother doesn't appear to be around. He's had 5 of the children on top of that, and 2 of them also live with him full time. The other kids, I don't know if he sees them or not. I just know they exist. He sees our children 1 weekend a month, and he's not very involved. The only thing he'll do is he'll call and try to make plans for us to spend time together as a family, but I always just shut him down and remind him we're no longer a family. He never wants to speak or see just the kids, though. He's always trying to involve me in that. Despite the bad blood between us, I remained on reasonably good terms with his parents, and they see the kids. My kids love their grandparents, but now we're having issues because they feel it'd be better for the kids to have both sides come together for Christmas, and for me to host my ex-husband and his children, whichever children he has on that day, and for us to function as a family who are there for each other. I told him that was not happening, and I was not pretending that him or those other kids of his are my family. They told me I shouldn't hold so much spite for him and the kids, that as a mother, I should want my kids to know their siblings, whether they're full or half. They offered to buy the turkey for us as a sign of helping to make it work. I still said no, and they wanted more reasons, and I told them I didn't have to give any reason, and my answer was still the same. In truth, this whole idea is awful in my opinion. I hate my ex, and spending the entire day with him in front of our kids could unfairly burden them with my feelings. I don't need to see any of the issues between us. Having him and his kids over would also mean buying presents for his kids, which is not something I want to start adding to my plate. I have nothing to do with those kids. Not to mention the ones he has all the time have no relationship with their mothers, and by any chance he could lie to them and say, I'm going to be their new mom, and I want to prevent that. He already tries to make us a family, so that's a concern of mine. I could never be motherly or have a familial relationship with his other children. That's never going to happen. Does my refusal to do this make me the asshole? I'm asking because I know we always say put the kids first, and I believe this is the way to do it, so they don't see or hear any of the troubles between me and their dad. I believe this is the best way to not get their hopes up, if they even have any, for us to be a family again. I'm confused. Obviously, I'm not saying, like, first, I'm kind of like 75-25 on OP being not the asshole. 75% not being the asshole, 25% being the asshole. And the reason I say this is because, yeah, I 100% agree that OP should not be a mother of this cheater's other kids. But I don't think it's fair for her children to not see their father. Because if I was one of these kids in this situation, even if I understood that my father was like a cheating scumbag, then I feel like at least I would still want to see him. Because, after all, he is my father. Which is why I say it's selfish on the grandparents' part for trying to make OP feel bad, but it's also a little selfish, at least I believe, on OP's part, for not wanting her kids to see her father because of something that her father did to her. While, yeah, it does affect the whole family, these kids are currently 11 and 9, and I don't think they fully grasp the concept of if their mother's getting cheated on. So they're probably thinking in the back of their head, I mean, why the hell won't you let me see my dad? Unless you had like a sit down conversation with these kids and explain to them what cheating was and that this guy's an asshole, then I see that point. But I would say OP has every single right not to want to see the father, but to not let her kids see their father is a little selfish in my eyes. Scrolling to the comments kind of supports that. I mean, OP is really stuck on the idea that the kid's grandparents want her to be family again and like family to the children, and I think that's where all this is sprouting from. I feel like if she looks at it in even like a little bit of a different way, she might think differently. Like, I'm just gonna read this one top comment, and if I find any other, I'll read those too. But this top comment says, if the father or grandparents want to have the family of kids together at Christmas, it should be arranged and hosted by them, not one of the mothers. I second that. I completely, entirely second that. And then OP says, that's a very good idea. The reason they won't is because it goes against the overall wish to turn me into a family member to him again and his other children. Which we would need more context, because at least, even though I just read it like 5 minutes ago, I feel like from what I understand here, I don't think that's 100% the root of the entire situation. I think the father does also want to see the kids. I mean, she even says here that when he reaches out, that he never wants to speak or see just the kids, though. That still means that he does want to see the kids in some sense. You get what I mean? So that's why I do think it's a little bit selfish. Final thing, which this commenter says down here, absolutely not the asshole. They're all off their fucking heads even suggesting it, which I 100% second. Again, as I said, I'm not saying that OP should be a mother of these children. And I do think they are, quote, off their fucking heads for even suggesting that. Could be a possibility. But again, just to solidify that I'm not siding with the asshole here, that I do think the kids should be able to see their father, even though this guy is a huge fucking asshole. That being said, even though it was like probably a pretty bad take, I'm gonna move right on to the next one, which is from Am I Overreacting? We're doing a little switch up right now. And again, I haven't read any of these stories in advance, so I'm formulating my opinions right after I read them. So let's get right onto this one. It reads, am I overreacting for getting annoyed that my girlfriend keeps doing, quote, surprise visits to my apartment to check what I'm doing? I am 28 and have been dating my girlfriend F26 for about 8 months. We live separately, but we see each other a lot. I like my privacy, and I told her many times that I need space to recharge after work. She said she understands. The issue is that she's started showing up without warning. At first, it was cute, like, oh, I got you a coffee. But then it came to her unlocking my door with a spare key I gave her for emergencies. She'll just appear and say, surprise, I miss you. Sometimes I'm in boxers, eating cereal, watching dumb videos, and suddenly she's in my kitchen asking why I didn't answer my texts. Last week, she came in while I was on a work call, and she started hugging me from behind. My manager was on screen. I nearly dropped my laptop. I asked her to please text before coming. She laughed and said, only people who have something to hide need warnings. I said, I just like to know when someone's entering my home. She rolled her eyes and said I'm making rules like a landlord. That part really messed with me when she said, if we love each other, we don't need privacy. Yesterday, she tried to come again, and I just didn't open the door. I texted that I was tired and I wanted a quiet night. She later sent a long message that I overreacted and she just wants to be close to me. I feel guilty, but also kind of invaded. Am I overreacting for getting upset that she keeps showing up to my apartment without warning and wanting privacy? Hell no! OP is not overreacting. I mean, coming from someone who, not exactly the situation, but kind of had someone who was just making rules like a fucking landlord to me, and I wasn't able to make my own rules. This one's really like, this one really gets me going, because who the fuck? I mean, he's on a work call and she just comes in, which I understand, a huggy, lovey, like that's great, but there's a time and place. You don't do that when you're in a work call. Like holy shit, you don't do that when you're in a work call.
And going here, when she rolled her eyes and said he's making rules like a landlord, poor dude just wants some personal space. What the fuck? Hell no, man. Hell no. Hell no. And going to the comments here, it says, that happened to a very good friend of mine years ago. He came home from work one day and the woman had moved in. This would drive me crazy. I think if this were to happen where I just got home from work and the girl that I was seeing just moved in, I think I would dead ass just instantly break up with her on the spot. This is fucking insane. Moving in with no like talking about it at all is super crazy to me. And there's a reply to that comment that says the part where she says OP is quote making rules like a landlord is a big red flag that she's gonna do the same. She's acting like it's her place already. And then another reply to that says an even bigger red flag is when she said that if you love each other, you don't need privacy. That's also crazy too. What I'm thinking, at least again from like how my experience was, that she just wants to keep barging in because she has doubts on this guy, and she doesn't want him to have privacy because she's insecure. If you get what I mean, you get what I mean. I don't really want to go like too deep into it because I do want to move on to the next story, but I might be going into it a little bit right now. But just because she wants to know, like, she might be barging in when she has a worry that he's like talking to another woman, and we don't know that. We don't know that. I don't even know if OP knows that, but it's just it's crazy because again, at least from my experience, it's like an insecurity thing. Like the reason that she's doing this is because she's worried that OP is not being faithful, not being loyal, so she wants to know and needs to know what he's doing all the time. Otherwise, she gets upset and crashes out here like she said, making rules like a landlord. That is so incredibly fucked up. That is actually so incredibly fucked up. But damn. Yeah. Time to move on to the next story. That one was crazy. I mean, I could be talking about that for a lot longer than I did, but I don't want the whole video to be over like one post that's super duper short. So let's move right on to the next one from Am I the Asshole? This one is a Will I Be the Asshole post, posted on Am I the Asshole? And the title reads, Will I be the asshole if I tell my coworker he can't participate in Secret Santa due to his conditions? Okay, so I'm hosting Secret Santa at work. It's an employee run event where there are no managers involved, and I've been the one to host it for the past few years. I've made up some questionnaire slips, sent out an email, and started handing out slips to those who want to participate. One of my coworkers, we'll call him Trey, who I actually really get along with, can be quite difficult at times, and has chosen my hosted event as one of those times for some reason. Anyways, here's how it went down. I handed him a slip since he participated last year, and I assumed he'd want to play again. He took the slip from me and asked me, can I just buy someone a gift and not get one? And I told him no, it doesn't work like that. Someone is going to draw his name, and they're going to want to get him a gift. He told me to just put in someone's name who doesn't want to play, and I said they don't want to play though, so I'm not going to do that. You either play or you don't. There's no in between. This just makes sense in my head. But he kept arguing with me, saying that he really doesn't want any gifts and he doesn't need any more clutter in his house, but he still wants to buy a gift for someone. Another coworker overheard our conversation and kind of called me out for it, saying, damn, just let Trey give a gift to someone and put someone's name in at random. Someone gets an unexpected gift and Trey doesn't have to receive one. I really hate the idea of this, but I told Trey I would think about it. But that just makes no sense to me. I'm not going to put a random person's name into the hat, and I'm not going to start asking around who wants to get a gift but doesn't want to buy one. I feel bad because I want Trey to be able to play and participate with us, but I don't like getting pushed into changing rules and making exceptions for people. In my head, the way I set it up is the way the game is played. You either play or you don't. Am I wrong though? Should I just let him donate his gift to someone else? Alright. So there's an edit, but I'm gonna kind of read my situation, like point of view first, because this edit might completely kill everything up, because I'm assuming this edit is after everything has happened. I do think OP would be the asshole. I'm not gonna lie. I do completely understand not changing plans. I hate changing plans, especially on things that have set rules that are set in stone. But you don't. Trey doesn't need to have a random person get a gift. Like, why can't he just give someone a gift, which I mean, I do also understand. It does bring up the fact that why can't he just give someone a gift himself instead of having to involve himself in this game? But I don't really fully understand where OP is, like, logistics wise. I do 100% understand that the way the game is the way the game is, but he just wants to give someone a gift. Let him donate a gift. I mean, he just wants to give someone a gift and doesn't want more clutter, which I understand because I feel like if I was in a situation like this, I wouldn't want some like random clutter that I probably wouldn't use because my desk and stuff is already enough of a mess as it is. But with that being said, I'm gonna read the edit and the update, and there's like a pretty long edit and update here, and then I'll read my point of view, or not read my point of view. I'll explain my point of view after this too. So let's move right into the update and the edit. Right here it says, "Hey guys, the issue has been resolved. You can see some of my replies for the full story, but in short, I've asked him to handle the logistics of his gift, and I'm gonna let him play. The post is still getting some traction. I was going to ask the mods to close it, but I really enjoy reading people's work secret Santa experiences, so keep the stories coming. I'd like to say a few things about some points people keep making. One, just let him play and don't put his name in, and then one person won't have to buy a gift. My response, it takes the fun out of the game for most people. Like we saw with Trey, pretty much everyone wants to buy a gift for someone. That's why they play. Getting gifts is always fun too, of course, but we all love to buy gifts for people, and I'm not going to take that away from anyone. That's why I asked Trey to find someone on his own who's willing to do that. That's fair. I do actually think that that's fair. Two, I pressured him into participating when he didn't want to. My response, okay, I know I didn't say that right, but just so everyone's aware, it is a voluntary participation. No one has to play. Trey wants to participate, just without receiving a gift in return. 3. Have a raffle for whatever gift he gets. My response, to be frank, I really just don't want to set this up. I was pressured into doing this Secret Santa by my coworkers again because I've done it in the past and no one else will really organize it, but I'm extremely busy at work right now and I've had so many issues the last year with managers getting involved, I really didn't want to have to do it again. Before you say I shouldn't have done it all, I'll explain myself a little. For one, it started as an alternative to the absolute terrible job our company does for their Christmas gifts. It ends up being a lottery every year with the same people getting huge flat screens and others getting a dog bowl. We started doing Secret Santa as our own way of taking control and making things fair and fun and also being able to further bond with each other. It's a small company and we're all pretty close, especially us hourly folks. 2. The company's shutting down on December 31st, and this is a way for us to kind of go out on a high note in regards to our friendships and work relationships. Some of us may never see each other again, and it's been a good bonding experience for us in the past, so I figured we should do it one last time while we can. All right. Well, this last line that OP said that the company is shutting down on December 31st, I that kind of sort of completely changed my entire view on the situation. I think seriously because the company is shutting down and this is our last thing like to do together. I seriously think that Trey should actually just suck it up because they're not gonna most likely not gonna see each other again. I mean, obviously unless they like go hang outside of work, but he's probably not gonna see a lot of these people again. Like I why not just for the last time to just suck it up and play the goddamn game? You get what I mean? But yeah, with that being said, I mean, I'm just gonna move right on to the next one. This one was absolutely crazy. I, I don't even know what else to say about it. We're gonna move on to the next one though. From Am I Overreacting? Okay. So, I, I know I said I didn't read any of them beforehand, but this one was just so. I read this one when it came out. And the way I sort for the posts is I do like by top of today, and I saw the update of this one, and I read the original. So I didn't read the update, but I read the original, and I really want to like know how this ended, because I seriously think that this one was actually insane. Which this one is a little freaky. By freaky, I mean like it it mentions like I don't know, is this gonna get me like demonetized? It has like a sexual connotation to it. So if that weirds you out in any way, then just skip right past this part down to the next one. Um, but If it doesn't, then feel free to listen, obviously. So, the, the, sorry, the title of this post is, Am I Overreacting? My boyfriend pissed on me. First line, right away, it just, OP drops, my boyfriend has a piss fetish. He very much loves peeing on me. He doesn't do it often, maybe a couple times a year, and it's always an active slash involved consent type of thing. Like, he'll say, I want to piss on you, and I'll say, sure, go get in the bathtub, and then he can piss, and I can immediately clean off. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Um, anyway, we're on vacation right now. 2 days ago, he said he wanted to pee on me during vacation. I said sure. Fast forward to last night. We're on the couch, just finished a nice dinner, and we're both pretty drunk. In the middle of a movie, he stands up in front of me and just starts pissing on me. I'm I'm fully clothed and we're sitting on an Airbnb couch. I freak out, immediately lock myself in the bathroom and clean myself up. He's completely confused why I'm mad because I told him he could this trip and he doesn't apparently see the difference between a bathroom and a living room, active participation in any of it. I'm currently sleeping in the second bedroom. I just really want to leave and go home. I don't want to finish this vacation. All right, well, laughing aside and jokes aside, I do think it's kind of crazy the fact that OP just went for like such a crazy thing without specific informed consent, like right at the time, informed consent. You know what I mean? Because I know OP said it earlier, but that doesn't mean like go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want. Because not only was it on a couch, and that's absolutely, absolutely, absolutely insane. The fact that it was on an Airbnb couch, it's really crazy too that there was no consent, which I do see why OP just doesn't want to continue this vacation. But there also is like a little 10% of me saying that OP is the asshole, because while I do understand that this is like a violation of OP's privacy 100%, I feel like it doesn't need to go to the extreme of I want to go home from my vacation. I feel like it can just be taken to a point of like a let's sit down and talk about this because what you did was really fucked up, and maybe try to make up and continue your vacation because vacations are expensive. If I mean, putting myself in OP's shoes, if I'm sorry if you have one, but God forbid I'm with a person that has a piss fetish and they just randomly piss on me. I don't think I would be. I mean, I would be really pissed off. I would be really pissed off, but I don't think I would be pissed off to the point to be like, I don't want to finish this vacation. Like, you get what I mean? I do understand. Again, it's insane. It's a violation of privacy, but taking it to the extreme of not wanting to finish a vacation that you paid for, that's most likely expensive, I think is a little over the top. So I'm going to move right on to the update because I don't see OP responding to any comments on this post, on this first post at least. So, oh, but actually there is a comment here, number one, saying you did not give clear consent and he should know that, which I do agree with. Two, him claiming you gave consent is gaslighting. I don't necessarily agree with that because she did give consent, and I see where I see where Pissman is coming from. Like she said that he could, but that doesn't mean just do it whenever the fuck you want, right? And then three, him not understanding the issue is him running away from responsibility, which I do understand that. I do understand that. Four is him doing that to a stranger's furniture is a lack of respect. Oh my god, this is actually crazy. This is like actually crazy. But yeah, just with that comment being read, I'm gonna move right on to the update because I'm really interested. I haven't read this part yet. I'm really interested in how this continues. All right, here it is. Update. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend pissed on me. I made a post about my boyfriend peeing on me, and I was in shock how much attention it got. So I figured I would provide an update on how everything turned out. So here it is. So I didn't end up leaving, but I did hold him firm that I wasn't okay with what happened. We fought a lot. Finally, showed my post in all the comments. I made him read what I wrote and asked him if that was an accurate and fair summary of what happened, and he agreed that it was. I then had him start reading the comments. He made it through less than 50 of the 600 plus responses and wouldn't read any further. Seeing what others thought of it had a big impact on him. He did end up apologizing. I guess it was frustrating for me that he took Reddit's opinion more seriously than mine. I'm grateful he got the message in the end, though. If not for me, then maybe for the next girl. Anyway, our vacation is over and we're gonna spend some time apart. I need to work through some feelings. Thank you to everyone who commented. He needed to see it and hear it, which, again, I do entirely understand OP's situation. It wasn't it wasn't like informed consent situation wise, even though she did say he could earlier. It's not okay to do something like this. I don't think it's okay at all. If you're listening to this and thinking, oh, well, if she said it before, then it must be right for all situations, that's not the right take. That is not the right take at all. And to do something out of the blue like that is absolutely crazy. Don't do that. If you're listening to this, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Um, and the comments are split right now. There are some people in the comments saying it's a good thing they broke up because he clearly doesn't care about her feelings because he took Reddit's opinion more seriously than hers. Which I do see how people are saying that. But at the same time, I feel like it's more of a he thought it was okay in the moment, and now seeing other people's opinion on it is what made him change his mind. Like seeing a societal standpoint rather than a specific point of view made him change his mind. I do think that the piss man is the asshole and OP is not overreacting because again, you should, if you're listening to this, get consent before you do anything as crazy as this because if you don't, that's really fucking bad. Yeah. I'm seeing more comments like people are saying, "Girl, why are you still with this man? He assaulted you. He listened to literal strangers over you telling him no. He put his fetish above you as a person, and you're still with him," which I do completely understand and agree with that. Again, he should not have done this. He seriously should not have done this. And I mean, yeah, seeing here that she broke up with him is better for her. But I don't know. I'm sorry. This story made me laugh, and I'm sorry to OP. This is an awful situation that you're in. But it's so hilarious. It's so funny to me, OP, because you broke up with him. I hope you never have to get pissed on ever again. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna move right on over to the next one. All right, this one is also from Am I the Asshole? This is most likely gonna be the last one, unless I accidentally cut too much content out and I need to get some more content for more of the video. But we'll see how that turns out. So this one says, "Am I the asshole for refusing to transport packages free of charge for a company that I don't do business with? Last week, 2 medium-sized packages arrived at my doorstep while I was at work. They had my home address on them, but the person they were addressed to was someone I'd never even heard of before. Perplexed, I looked to see who sent it and I called the company, but they were closed. So I brought the packages in and I stored them for the weekend. Yesterday, after work, I called the company to inform them of this error. The representative asks me to print off shipping labels and use packing tape to attach the labels to the boxes. Then this company wants me to haul this stuff to a FedEx store. At this point, I put the brakes on. In the nicest way I know how, I tell the representative that this isn't my responsibility. I didn't ask for any of this. I'm already doing them a favor by storing the products in my home, plus using my own printer and tape to attach shipping labels. They knew to arrange it so that the packages are picked up from my home, not ask me to drive the packages across town using my own vehicle, fuel, time, etc. Eventually, they agreed the package would be picked up from my home. I didn't want to be rude, but I had spent approximately 25 plus minutes on and off hold. I found it kind of presumptuous that I was being asked to provide shipping supplies at my own expense, plus transport packages that I never ordered for a company that I don't do business with. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but this isn't my problem." Not the asshole at all. I mean, I think it's a little different because I do like eBay selling, so if I was on my way to if I was on my way to the post office and this situation happened, I think I would just drop things off at the post office. But I do think I would probably ask for like a little bit of compensation for doing this because I wouldn't want to do this for free, and I probably would use it like as leverage to, do this and get some money out of it because this isn't, again, as OP said, this isn't OP's fault. This isn't OP's situation at all, So, but I think for me, if they gave me like even $5 to just use my own packing tape, I would just take it to the post office whenever I need to go deliver one of my eBay orders. Yeah, OOP is not the asshole. I'm going to go ahead and read some comments. This one says, not the asshole, especially when you don't know what's in the parcel. It could be a legitimate business or it could be a front. Someone replied that saying, not the asshole, but there's no way that I would have wasted 25 plus minutes dealing with this. I would have left them in a voicemail and hung up after about 5 minutes. It's infuriating enough to be on hold when you need something from the company, but I draw the line on hanging on the line when I'm trying to do them a favor. Let them call me at my own convenience, not theirs. And that's entirely true, too. What I was thinking when I was reading it is if OP seriously spent 25 plus minutes on an off hold, aside from the fuel, which I do understand, I do understand not wanting to use fuel, but OP lists two things that they don't want to use their fuel and their time, which OP spent 25 plus minutes on an off hold. Again, not to be that guy, dropping things off at the post office really doesn't, like, it really doesn't take that much time, which if OP's never been to a post office before, wouldn't I wouldn't be like disagreeing, because at my first time when I was trying to sell things on eBay, I thought it was gonna take a lot longer when I was in the post office, but it quite literally took me like 2 minutes. And assuming that the post office for OP is 10 minutes away, because yeah, they did say across town, they should have post offices pretty close, but again, I don't know where OP lives. I don't know the state of this. But if OP was able to go there in 10 minutes each direction and had 5 minutes to go drop it off, then the entire time that they spent on hold and doing this stuff, they seriously could have just gone and taken it to the store. But again, I do understand that not wanting to do other people's bitch work, which I probably wouldn't have done other people's bitch work, as I said, unless I was on my way there. But yeah, OP is not the asshole in this situation at all.
Alright, this is just like a quick little editor's note and also a quick close up on the video. So, I don't know how or what happened, but if you look at my house right now, you can see there's like roofing on it. My video got messed up and really out of place while recording this video, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I did build a roof in the house, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening and watching all the way to this point. It really does help me. If you could please absolutely destroy that subscribe button, that like button, and maybe even go click on some of my other videos. I think that'd be really cool. But I'll see you guys later. Peace.